Alright, but it's a Freddy's fans, you're gonna love this episode because, as you know, I was the very first one to unveil the new Five Nights at Freddy's figures made by Jazwares, and they look incredible! But what you don't know is we also sat down with the cool people that are working on the toys, and you have to hear this interview to believe it because they reveal some more secrets that we didn't reveal earlier. So alright, now let's take it away to the Puppet Steve correspondent who's going to interview the guy that's working on the toy line. Hey, thank you, Puppet Steve. I'm talking to Aaron Margolin. He's in charge of the Five Nights at Freddy's line that is making all the toys for the new movie coming out.
New movie, new games. We actually have the master license. So of all the stuff that is coming out and has come out, we are looking at making figures, plush of the entire Fazbear universe and beyond. We're dedicated fans, so we're not just going to be focusing just on some, one movie or two movies or one game or two games.
Yeah, it's exciting because, and special thanks for taking the time out to talk with us.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? No, it's great talking to you.
So I know you've got a lot at your plate. You've got the license from Funko. And I got to say, incredible job that you're doing so far. A lot of articulations, and you're taking on a big franchise. You know, we've got like 6, 7 games. I'm sure more than that. But where do you start with the character line with this?
It's a really great question. So for me, I try to approach things from a fan-first mentality. And when I say that, I mean there's no character that's kind of off the books as far as, like, yes, there's some characters that are more popular than others, but my philosophy on character selection is I understand that with an IP like Five Nights at Freddy's, and I've been a fan since the first game came out. I was in college. My buddy texted me being like, have you ever heard of this? And I was like, no. And I played the game in my living room in college with my buddies around me, and these are all grown men. We're freaking out, and it's like, oh, this is special. And then I fell down the theory hole, and I've been a fan ever since. So I understand that people care so much about Five Nights because I care so much about Five Nights. And I know that every character is going to be at least someone's favorite, right? Even if it's one person, I want to make sure that when we make a plush or a figure of that character, that fan, oh my God, Toy Bonnie is my favorite. Wow, what an incredible figure, what an incredible plush. So understanding that, I really looked at what would be the strongest way for us to launch, and knowing that the movie was a great success, and the average person who maybe hasn't heard of Five Nights at Freddy's, the video games, right? Maybe they watch the movie. Hey, what characters would I recognize from that, right? So how can we start off strong? The one big thing is complete character groupings. As a collector, as a fan, I can't stand personally when a company of any sort is like, here's this character, and the third one's gone. No. I want to make sure that if we start a character grouping, we finish that character grouping.
That's horrible with any franchise. Let's face it.
It might not be, immediately or right out the gate or anything like that, but over time I want to make sure that grouping is complete, and that is really what you're going to be seeing through our line. It's what you're seeing at launch right here, right? So the toy animatronics, what would be a great way to start with these figures that have great level of detail for a $10 price point, but also like a feature? We thought it'd be really cool to do the toy animatronics, knowing that FNAF 2 is so well loved.
Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy,
Toy Freddy, the Mangle, and so all of the features being
kind of like Toy Foxy, if there was an equivalent of one.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And then for collector, knowing that collector sometimes reactivates the older fans, right? Maybe the fans who are like, oh, I liked Five Nights growing up. Maybe I came back to the fandom. What's there for me? Obviously, everything that we make is for all ages, but the collector figures, the Endo series figures, what's a high level of detail at a great price point, and what's a character that immediately is like, oh, I grew up with Five Nights. Of course, I love Five Nights 1. I love Five Nights 2. So having the classics and the Withers with Endo 1 kind of made sense just to start. But really, as I said at the beginning of this answer, there really is no character that we're trying to disqualify. I know that someone's favorite character, as minor as they may be to the series, is going to be someone's favorite character.
And I love, because I was talking to you earlier, you're all about scale. You want to make sure everything's in scale.
Yes.
You want to make sure that no one's left out. Like, even I was talking to DJ Music Man was also something that you're like, oh,
one of my favorites.
I would love to do that. So knowing that, like, you're such a big fan, and someone like you is in charge of the franchise. We're in good hands. I love hearing that.
Thank you. Well, it's genuinely, I as much as I'm living and breathing, and it's keeping me up at night to really look. Honestly, this is a big. It's a big task, and I don't say that lightly. It's something that I treat this very seriously because this fan base loves this franchise, and I know what that fandom feeling feels like when you see something that's perfect, right? When you see something that, or at least, for the price, it's like, wow, I can't believe I can get this for $10, and it feels authentic. It's something to celebrate, and you share it with your friends, and I take that very seriously. I appreciate you saying that. The whole team at Jazwares, the designers, our marketing team, we're all Five Nights fans. Good. I mean, the movie was like, I did a big step-by-step. The first thing is like, so you want to know about Five Nights at Freddy's 101. And so I walked people through if maybe they were unfamiliar. And by the end of that really week, people had come back, a designer came back to me and said, hey, so I watched that 8-hour breakdown of the entire Five Nights at Freddy's timeline. I was like, yes, you're ready to start designing because you understand now, So scale, as you brought up, very important. The Endo series is that like collector 6-inch scale that you're seeing with a lot of other companies who make action figures. Our AEW figures are a great example. The Unrivaled collection or the Spartan collection from Halo, 6-inch, $20 to $30 depending on what kind of item you're getting. Where does scale come into play? That's that
Balloon
world.
Boy is always out disproportionate.
Yes, that's that world of scale. So the action figures, as you can kind of call them, because they do have an action while being articulated and looking good. So yeah, the toy animatronics are where we're launching. Where do we go from there? Where do we go beyond as we expand the world of? Well, there's lots of facets to the world of Five Nights at Freddy's. As you were mentioning, smaller animatronics, your JJs, your Balloon Boys, your Mini Renas, your Ennard, your DJ Music Man being bigger and Ennard, right? They're big ones, right? And so that is kind of where we're going to explore and do a jumping off. By the way, I'm not confirming or denying any characters here. I'm just saying, like, we do take that into consideration. We take that seriously. So where you're really going to start seeing the deviation in scale is as we refresh character groupings beyond Wave 1. Launching with the toy animatronics from FNAF 2, but expanding even more as the seasons go on.
Well, you have a lot to live up to because we've had Funko had the license.
Oh, yes. U2's does a great business.
Did their own spin. Yes. So I'm sure you guys are like, we need to meet that bar and exceed it.
It's really interesting to look at the ecosystem of Five Nights at Freddy's products, and I think that everyone has done something really special in unique ways. I gotta say, I am a really big fan of a lot of what U2's has done. Some of the variants, I think there was like a recent deco variant of Chica that I just absolutely loved. It was so original, organic, and like Funko. I think some of the stuff that Funko has done is really incredible. What we want to do, speaking just for us, we want to make the ultimate Five Nights at Freddy's line. We want to spare no expense when it comes to detail. We want to really hone in and make it feel like it's a line by fans for fans. And so that means, quality that's great, affordability, and I use the word encyclopedic character selections. We want it to be comprehensive, right? We do not want holes. Down the line, we want to make sure that if you're a big fan of the mediocre Melodies animatronics, well, we might have something in store for you. Again, I'm not confirming or denying anything, but it's considerations that we're trying to make.
Well, since you bring it up, I thought the character selection in a game like Pizzeria Simulator had the best characters that were never made into plastic. And if you did, they were like super hard to get.
Are you about to ask me for the paper pals?
The egg.
I know who you're talking about. Egg Baby? It is Egg Baby.
Yes,
it is Egg Baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that. We got the Fruit Punch robots. Like they dropped the ball. Like all these other companies dropped the ball. Like I would love to see characters like that because they were excellent looking characters.
I think with those characters especially, that's really one of those. To me, those characters feel a lot like they exist in the world of Five Nights
they're
at
deep
Freddy's.
cuts, but still, I'd love to see them.
There's no cut too deep. And listen, I don't know how many of them there are, but I bet there is someone out there who's like, my favorite character in Five Nights is Egg Baby. I respect that. I think that's great. I think that there should be a product for that person. I can't promise anything, but it's a consideration. It's something that we care about because I don't think there's a wrong answer. If you ask the question to someone, hey, what's your favorite Five Nights at Freddy's character? There is no wrong answer to that. And that should, I know, that should be respected. As a member of many fandoms, I really do think that.
Now, are all you guys
really anticipating the next movie?
Oh my
Like
gosh,
we
are
are?
you kidding? So I was actually mentioning to you before we started recording, one of my first bosses used to work for the Jim Henson Company as a puppeteer. Puppeteering and the...
He's also working on this
Yes,
film.
yes, right. The Jim Henson Company's involvement with FNAF 1 was the moment where I was like, oh, we're going to get something really special. And I'm so excited for the second movie. Being completely honest here, FNAF 2 is my favorite of the franchise. I will never forget the first time I played FNAF 2. The ante felt upped. The mystery felt more elusive and interesting than ever. It's really what made me a fan for life. And so, being completely honest, and I don't really know much, right? I want to be a good partner. I don't know much. But what we've seen so far of, like, the behind-the-scenes looks of the animatronics, I can't wait to see.
I bet when you got the schematics, you're like, oh.
Believe you me, I want more than anything. If I could be fly on the wall in that workshop and see the schematics and looking at all the designs, I would love nothing more.
Oh, and I'm sure there's reveals yet to be revealed that you're just like, ooh, that's amazing.
There's some really cool stuff. I mean, I'll mention for the line, everything that you see for our line, and very important to note, the characters and the designs are reflective of their video game designs.
Oh,
if we
perfect.
were to do, for instance, the classic Freddy in World of Scale, as FNAF 1 movie version, we would probably approach it in a different way. We'd do deco a little bit different. We'd maybe there might be a little bit of stylization that make it feel a little bit more like the Universal film. But to answer your question, yes, there's some stuff where it's like, oh, if we ever do movie stuff, because we're launching really with video game, we definitely have some exciting things.
Something to hook it to.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I don't know which characters will and won't show up in FNAF 2, but we've seen Toy Bonnie show up. I think it was like one of the sneak previews. So yes, the Toy Bonnie that you're seeing on shelf here, it's an awesome prototype of the FNAF 2 Toy Bonnie. There might be a little nuance too if we were to ever do a film version.
Gotcha. Have you guys thought of playsets on your radar?
The scale of the world of lends itself to some really interesting things. And now I think that the world of Five Nights goes far beyond just Freddy Fazbear's or even the Pizzaplex. I think there's a lot that we can do to explore, and as we set the scale with Wave 1, potentially exploring smaller and larger characters, we might want to make some products of locations where you can play with those figures or display them.
Fair enough. How far are you guys planning out with the lines? Whatever you can tell us.
Quite far ahead.
Okay.
I have made sure I have looked through our scheduling, and again, just as a fan, I kid you not, I did this. I think I started it at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday one night, and I stood up being like, how late can I go? And I built out as much as I could. How far ahead? Until the end of our contract. I believe that is at the end of 2028. But what I want to make sure, I treat it like a story. I treat all the brands I work on like a story. If this is the first chapter, do we end with a complete story? And as far as what I've planned, that is, my hope. If we do what I've planned...
That's an interesting way of looking at things.
It'll feel complete.
Yeah,
there will be a good beginning and middle and end.
Okay, so it's a 3-year...
And we'll see where things go from there. Sometimes contracts get renewed, so, we could do more. And listen, there might be certain groups of characters that, we're getting a new game coming out in a few months, right? There's going to be always this newness, and we're going to be chasing that because toys do take a little bit of time to make, especially to make them right. We always want to make them right.
And I love the new... what do you call them? Like the new features to this thing.
Yeah.
You have an endoskeleton and you snap the parts over top of it.
Yeah, no, I really and forgive me. Have I told the story of how the Endo series came to be? Or
no,
so when we were initially, I was apart from Jump in terms of the Five Nights at Freddy's pitch when we were initially had the opportunity to see if we could get this line. Okay. And I came to a bunch of leadership members and I said, I've been a fan since day one. I want to work on this pitch. I really think that I can, help the team develop something that's really going to be exciting for fans. So one night I was up late again. I do some of my best brainstorming at night. One night I was up late going, what can we do for collectors that is unique and that lends itself specifically to Five Nights? And all of a sudden it was like, wait, the endoskeletons are based off of like the real inner working mechanisms of animatronics that really do exist. They all wear costume pieces. What if we did an endo frame that had all the articulation that you want in a collector 6-inch figure that, an Endo 1, Endo 2, Yendo, those are characters. So that's a character itself. But then we build that out so we can have Endo 1 goes with classic Freddy,
that
right?
the main part of your spiel then?
That was one of those for collector. That was like, hey, here's how we're, you've seen action figures before. For collector, here's how we're really going to kind of step it up. That's really where we did that. Is we created this idea of like, hey, the endoskeletons are in, I'll say most animatronics to be very safe. I know that there are some characters, certainly one very specific character does not have an endo behind that
very
costume.
Diplomatic answer.
And listen, we're always going to be brainstorming, but for the case of the classics, right, they have Endo 1, so how do we build that out doing classic Freddy there? I noticed that a lot of people in the fan community has been so kind and really excitable, have been gravitating towards like, it's a multi-pack, 3 characters in one. Really, it's a collector pack that has the ability to be 3 characters, but really it's like Endo 1, do you want it to be Freddy? Do you want it to be withered Freddy? And I think I was telling you yesterday, there are nuances to the Endo frames. The eye color of Chica and the eye color of Bonnie and the eye color of Freddy, those are different. Those are going to be different Endo frames. I mean, the eye color of withered Bonnie is very different. He has no eyes, but are there going to be the red dot sensors? Of course there are.
Gotcha. So I know Funko had the license forever, and I really feel like to be nice, the line needed a refresh. Some new hands getting into it, and I'm so glad it went to you guys and brought this aesthetic to the line because it looks great, and I feel like it really needed it. And I think the fans will be really receptive to it.
Really, thank you for saying that. It's been a passion project for me, for the entire team. We're really excited. We've been excited to see what people have thought. And I mean, this is just Toy Fair. I'm excited for you to get your hands on the first figures that come out in the plush because we're still doing some refinement.
Yeah, so when can we expect to see these then?
I would expect to see these towards the end of the year.
Okay.
Retail sets in a very unique way. It's very important for people to kind of know that, Funko does great business, but Funko Pops kind of operate in a very collector space. We are going to try to make sure that this is a product line for everyone that is available at as many places as possible. And sometimes things set in different ways. I would guess you're going to see these products hit shelves in about October, very early October.
Okay, and I have one question.
Yes, please.
I know for years, fans, like I've got the fans' ears when it comes to the action figure stuff. They've yelled at me forever. We want Wizards.
Oh, hey,
Is that why you went with the Wizards in these sets?
No. So in terms of, I know that people were asking for Wizards. I also, again, I kind of have an affinity for them, but I just think they're so cool. One of the big things that I wanted people to see out the gate was the way that we can get fidelity of sculpt for characters, and the Wizards was a really great example. You can just look at Withered Freddy, and the Endo frame you can see on the insides why the costume's torn, so you can see the recesses. And normally to do that in a tooled figure, that would be super expensive, right? To have those nooks and crannies, but because we're literally making an Endo frame, it kind of naturally allows itself to have that 3-dimension. And it's, again, like, it's cool. You can literally look on the inside and see the Endo's mouth, within.
It probably saves you a fortune on tooling too, getting in all the little.
It helps to get the details, and again, it's a $25 set, right? It's really 3 characters in one, but a big collector item at $25. I know right now times can be a little tough when it comes to buying toys and collecting things. I want to make sure that everyone who buys our stuff can do so with their, as I like using, allowance money. I want you to be able to save up, do it. It doesn't set you back, but you're like, man, I got my favorite character.
And I just want to throw it out there too. You haven't shown all of Series 1 here.
No.
The stuff that's on display here, there's more coming.
Oh, yes.
So don't
There's
think that...
more, and more comes quickly too. October's just the beginning. In 2026, we've got a lot more planned.
Oh my gosh.
So we're not stopping just here. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Of course.
It just, when you take pictures, and it just doesn't do justice of what the stuff we talk about. So I'm glad I can share this.
Thank you for stopping by.
And so thank you very much.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.